Good morning, minions, and welcome to this week's episode of No More Mr. Fat Guy TV. Now, this week there's pretty much three things that I want to get into. They're kind of probably not specifically running related. They're more sort of general, probably health and fitness, and a little bit sort of like making changes type stuff. But I guess you're probably used to me mixing up a little bit and not just being about running these days. So we'll proceed. All of these things really have come about as I've been, as I say, every week I just literally just try and think about what I'm going to talk about, something that is of interest to other people, that's something that sort of catches my imagination, and something maybe topical that's cropping up on the page, and really all three of these things have come about in different ways, but they're sort of topical, and they're stuff that's been happening on the community, etc. So really the first one is a seasonal thing. I mean, we're now just coming to the end of the first week of February. It's a traditional time of year where everybody starts falling off their New Year's resolution wagon. They stop going to the gym, and the bad eating starts creeping in again, and little by little it just gets chipped away at. I mean, it's primarily one of the reasons why the last New Year's resolution I ever made was actually to give up making New Year's resolutions. I just haven't done them for years, that's been very successful. But yeah, I mean, I know that there'll be a whole load of people that are out there that they're basically after Christmas maybe piled on a few extra kilos, and I know I certainly did, and decided that maybe they would do something about it. The thing is now that the easy part is when you've got that initial enthusiasm, and it's kind of easy to keep going for a couple of weeks, a few weeks, or even maybe a whole month. And now you're really going to start hitting that time of year where you're going to find out if you truly wanted to do it or not, or whether it just seemed like the right thing to do, or the thing that you're supposed to have done. So all I can say really is a couple of things. Is that, first of all, there's no quick fixes, there's no easy solutions. I have noticed online lately there's an awful lot of adverts for these sort of like potions and pills and so-called easy solutions. I mean, there's actually an advert on Facebook that pops up regularly saying, if you eat this, I've never clicked on it, but the advert says, if you eat this, you never need to diet again in your life, which is just absolutely absurd. I mean, it's basically trying to claim that there's some kind of superfood, or there's some kind of sort of like silver bullet sort of magic solution that will basically ensure that the weight drops off and that you stay fit and trim and healthy. Reality is that sadly it doesn't work like that. Reality is that it comes about by basically committing to a change in lifestyle, as opposed to, I mean, you get rid of this idea that you need to go on a diet, or you need to have a fitness regime that takes you to a point where you've become fit, healthy, you're at the weight that you want to be, or whatever. Basically, start thinking more in terms of it being a change to your lifestyle, a change to the way that you actually live. It's an ongoing thing. It's a case of making changes to the way that you eat. It's making changes to the way that you live. Not necessarily massive ones. You can just make little tweaks here and there, and you make adjustments, and you just start improving the way that you act and the way that you live your life, and those things add up and become sort of weight loss and increased health and increased fitness. But it is an ongoing thing, and you're going to have to realistically get your head around that, take that on board, fully understand that that's what it's about, and then then it'll suddenly become a bit easier, I think, because you're not expecting to have something that'll take you to a point. You'll just be partaking in this sort of like ongoing process. You'll just change yourself, and you'll improve yourself, and you'll improve your life. So yeah, ignore the adverts, ignore the claims by the potions and pills makers. It's not going to happen like that. the best way and the guaranteed way to get rid of the Christmas kilos yet again, and to finally get yourself into shape that you've been promising yourself all these years, is really just watch what you eat, think about what you eat, make changes to what you eat, drink plenty of water, move a bit more, go walking, minimum of 10,000 steps every day. Get involved with some kind of regular exercise routine, not just for losing weight and building strength and shaping your body up, but because mentally there's a lot of benefits. I mean, you get periods of time where you get chemical reactions going on in your brain for one thing, but also just having time actually yourself for de-stressing and effectively relaxing. It all comes together. I mean, and it'll help you with your sleep. It'll help you sleep more deeply and get more restful sleep, and everything then suddenly just starts coming together. So you get this mixture of sort of emotional and chemical and psychological and physical changes that ultimately will yield that better body and that better health that you're seeking. If you're just about to fall off the wagon now, climb back on board. Have that renewed sort of perspective that it's not just a short journey to a particular point. Get back onto that wagon with that change in perspective and keep going. And if you need support, drop onto the Facebook page or any of the other fitness and running Facebook pages. And you'll get plenty of support and accountability from a whole bunch of people who have been there and are there at the moment and currently going through things that you're no doubt facing. Which kind of leads me on to, I think, the second thing, just a little thing that I just want to mention really, because it's popped up a few times. I haven't mentioned it online at all. I've sort of avoided getting involved in the debate, but I keep seeing references to the American Biggest Loser. And people are posting up pictures showing, I think there's 3 pictures being shown. There's a picture of the woman that's won the title. So there's a picture of her that when she first went into the house. There's a picture, I think, when she sort of weighed in before the last weigh-in before finale or whatever. And then a picture of her on the actual night of the finale, showing how she was when she actually weighed and took out the title. Now, in picture 1, she's overweight. In picture 2, she looks strong and healthy. In picture 3, she's lost even more weight. And people are just, I don't know, people are just, I think, without even knowing the story, without knowing anything about the woman, without knowing what's going on in her mind, whether she's sad, whether she's unhappy or whatever, they're all making these claims of, she looks so much healthier in the second picture and she looks gaunt in the final one, and it must be an eating disorder. Comments like, I just want her to be happy and healthy. But these people don't know. They don't know what's going on in this woman's head. For all they know, she's perfectly happy, and she just happens to have lost more weight. It might not conform to your idea of how a fit and healthy body should look, but at the end of the day, you just don't know what's going on inside somebody else's head. And if you don't know what's going on, you don't know somebody else's story, and you don't know the journey they've been on, and you don't know whether they're happy or unhappy, try not to judge. Because there's so many, and it happens on Facebook all the time. There are people who make so much effort online to be trying to lose weight or trying to make changes to their life, and just ignorant and ill-advised comments come in from people. Sometimes it's just a bit of clumsiness, but sometimes it's a little bit of jealousy, or sometimes it's a little bit of maliciousness. You get comments, and I've seen it on a number of pages, that just completely, they just destroy people. They just upset them because they're probably in a fairly delicate emotional state anyway, making changes to their life, because it's not a small thing that anybody that's losing weight or taking on long-term health and fitness issues, it's not something trivial. you'll probably find that there's an awful lot going on behind the scenes emotionally and psychologically, that is making them really quite in quite a sensitive state in some ways. And so you get people that come from outside of that situation who just have these opinions that you look too thin, or even I've seen it that you look too muscly. Particularly women. Like if women go to the gym and develop a bit of shape and tone, and start gaining a bit of muscle definition, you get other women coming along, or even sometimes blokes coming along and saying that it doesn't look feminine. I mean, everybody's got their own life. Let them live their own life. Focus on your own. Improving yourself, improving your own life, and really try your absolute best to be supportive of other people, and to think about what you're saying to these people, and to just be helping each other, supporting each other, and lifting each other up, and helping everybody else to achieve the things that they're set out to achieve. And if we can all do that, then the world would be a much happier place. There'd be no need for jealousy. There'd be no need for negativity, it would just be so much better. And I'm sure it can be like that. It's just, and I think most of the time these things come out of either sort of misguided sort of attempts to be helpful. Let's say sometimes it does come from their own insecurities and jealousies. So if you're actually on the receiving end of these, then all I can say is do your absolute best to try and not let it knock you off course, because you can guarantee if you're getting comments like that, then you're doing something right and you're heading in the right direction, and you're just reflecting back to these people perhaps the fact that they're not doing it for themselves, and that's probably making them feel a little bit insecure and a little bit jealous. So if you're on one of these journeys, then good on you, and carry on. And that really now, that idea of not knowing what's going on in somebody else's life really leads on to the third thing I want to say. There was a blog post this week on Facebook, and obviously it was posted to a blog, and the link was posted onto Facebook. Now I won't. I don't need to mention who or where, because it doesn't matter. It could be anybody, and I don't want to further embarrass the person, because I've said all that I need to say on their page, and I've said all I need to say on my page, showing my support. But it was a blog post about depression. And it was a blog post from somebody who has basically been very open and honest about their own suffering and their own experiences of depression. And in many cases, I think people were taken by surprise. It's somebody they maybe wouldn't have thought that was suffering depression. Maybe they never even realised that had been part of the story for this person. Now I can say, put my hand on my heart, and say that when I've done some of the profiles on the website, and when I've been working with and talking with other sort of runners and other sort of fitness enthusiasts on Facebook, collaborating on doing the sort of the Running Changes Lives anthology, that I have discovered so many times, time and time again, people who have got depression or very similar kinds of issues in their story, as part of their story. Think depression or some other sort of issue that is there, and that running has somehow helped them get over, or perhaps it even was the driving force behind them getting into running or making the changes in the first place. And all I can say is that, as I said before, really, is that you never know what story there is behind somebody's. You meet somebody, you see what you see. You get to know the parts of the person that they let you see. You get to know the person as best you can, but nobody ever truly knows what's going on in somebody else's head, and nobody ever truly knows exactly what's gone on to get them to the point they're at today. I mean, I was taken aback. In particular, there's been two people that I can think of that I've known for quite a number of years. That it turned out that depression was actually part of their story, and I would never have guessed. I actually worked with one of them. Somebody I worked with for a good few years. Worked closely with and have been friends with for over a decade now. And I would never ever have guessed, would never have said that depression was part of their life. That it wasn't, that it was never would have had them pegged as somebody who had that going on at all. And yet they did. And again, running was played a big part in sort of like fixing that, if you like. So it's like helping them get through that. And I can honestly say myself that sort of over the years I've never gone to the doctors and been diagnosed as being depressed. But I can think of times in my life where there were real lows, and it may have been there's times I've been borderline depression. I mean, I certainly going back, if you go back far enough, when I was at college, certainly my college student counsellor had me down as suffering mild depression for a while, and and everybody gets low days, and depression is far more than that. But even if you don't get something like depression, even if you it is just a case of being really low or being really sensitive or some other issues going on, the chances are that most people keep these things to themselves. Most people go on day in, day out, staying strong, doing what they need to do, and not really exposing that to the rest of the world. And by and large, people's lives are still lived relatively successfully, and it's only when things come to a head. I mean, perhaps after a number of years, with things burning away, that finally issues have to come to the fore and they bubble up and they have to be dealt with, and that's when it comes out, and hopefully it comes out in a good way, and then people are surprised to learn that there's been depression there. I mean, you just think about famous celebrities that end up with suicides or sort of dying in mysterious circumstances. That eventually it comes out that that somebody who's been super positive and super funny and laugh a minute on stage, for example, that they've spent their entire life battling bipolar, or these things are just far more common than anybody. Than most people realise, I think. So all I would say about it, the reason I want to mention that is because it's that thing. It's like, please don't judge other people. Don't think you know their story, because you cannot know anybody's story apart from your own. And even then, you're probably still learning about what your own story is. The other thing is, if you can, if you feel brave enough to tell your own story of whatever issues you're facing, if you feel compelled to do that, then please do, because the more people that speak out about not just depression, but people that speak about any issue that can possibly affect other people, when you tell your story, you'll be surprised. You will impact lives in ways that you can't imagine. You will be a positive influence. You will give encouragement, and you will give inspiration to somebody somewhere. So if ever you feel like telling your story, but I would say please do, because it can have a positive benefit. And I think, and that leads back to something that's been in the media again this week. I think Ian Thorpe, the Australian swimmer, has been in the media again with depression, and has been typical media kind of reaction, really. But I think it just goes to show that the public still needs to have a long way away at the moment from having sensible, balanced discussions about these kind of issues, and so that we all need to really just keep working towards trying to have those conversations, trying to get that information out there, and understanding that the person that sat next to you in work may well be going through one hell of a time. And we as a society really just need to understand that a bit more, and to be a bit more supportive and be more positive. So yeah, look, I guess this week's episode is becoming a bit of a not a rant, but I would just like to see personally, and I've always felt this way for a long time, that I think the world needs to be a happier, more supportive, more positive place, and I guess that's the common thread with the things that I've talked about today, is to just be aware, look out for each other a little bit more where you can, and try not to be so judgmental and so quick to be negative and to point fingers, because at the end of the day, everybody's going to need a helping hand at some point, and you're not going to be an exception. So, I think, I'm not a biblical person, but the expression, as you sow, so shall you reap. Basically, just be good to each other. You'll get treated in the same way that you treat other people. So, let's talk about these issues. Let's get them out there. Let's continue being positive and supporting. And doing what we can to try and stop people from slipping into things like depression in the first place, because if the world was a better, more positive, happier place, then maybe these issues wouldn't be so widespread. So on that note, with a smile and trying to be happy about the topic, I will speak to you next week. I hope in some way that this episode will trigger something with somebody and maybe help somebody somewhere. I'm sure it will do in some way. As I speak to you next week, and bye for now.